Hey Flosstube, this is Tara with wildewomancrafts, coming back after another month. Luckily I don't, it's not really like a whole thing as to why the gap happened to be a month this time. It really is just that when the 2-week mark hit and then the 3-week mark hit, I didn't have like any stitching I felt to show. This year has continued to be a little bit more like of a monogamous kind of stitching situation somewhat. So for the, like, spoiler alert, for the entire month of August, I only worked on one project and then I put 100 stitches in a new start. So that kind of tells you where we're at, but enough time has passed. We have some things to chat about anyway. And yeah, we'll just get straight into it. So to start with the finish, I'm sure you can, if you've been around, I'm sure you can have a pretty solid guess as to what it was that I stitched on all of August to finally complete my big finish for the year for, well, hopefully one of other big finishes to come, but definitely my biggest finish of the year so far, I would say, is the Extraordinary Bird Sal by Lola Crow. It's done. It is done. Let's get all up in here. Yeah, I really feel like we kind of we really dove in here, but you know what? We're just keeping it short and sweet. There are so many fun birds. I loved looking back at the index of plants and animals and seeing that there are 35 species of birds in here. There are obviously more birds than that in total because there's, duplicates of a couple, or there's like male and female. Just incredible. And I absolutely screamed when I realized that this last section, she titled it Brains and Brawn with the, the pigeons, and then this, this dinosaur, this terror bird, the demon duck of doom, as it is written in the book. I really love the inclusion of the dinosaurs in this. It was just so fun, so amazing. I've had a number of people who I've spoken to ask me like, oh, Terry, you're definitely going to do it again next year, right? And I mean, so I didn't do the first two Lola Crow big sals. It was only last year with the aquarium that I first got, and then obviously this one got me. So I'm hoping I can resist in the future, but no promises. And this one actually ended up being bigger than the aquarium overall. I think it did cross that 19,000 stitch mark, and the aquarium didn't quite make it. I think it was in the upper 18,000, but so good, so amazing, so beautiful, so many fun friends that we learned about along the way. And for the final time, this was stitched on 40 count Jody fabric of Steel City Stitchers. It's a Verdal, and I don't know what the color is, but yay. That is the big finish for sure. So that is what I stitched on like all of August. Not even really that there was a whole lot of stitching of it. It just was like, that was what I picked up. And then the only start I had in the month of August, and the only other piece I touched in the month of August, I will put the picture of this one up, is my last monthly installment of the Celebrate All Year Stitch Along by Katie Landis. This was a stitch along last year, yeah, that I kept up with mostly, and then it kind of fell apart toward the end of the year. So, but I am happy to report that of that, monthly series, every other month is completely fully finished. So this is the only one that is not only not fully finished, but not stitched. But November will be here before we know it, the way this year's been going. So I figured it was time to get started. So this is what, it looks like. Hopefully you're seeing it. And this is where I am. So I have this fun needle minder from Hillary of Subpar Stitches. She just gave this to me at StitchCon. So this is terrible, going on our dinosaur theme here. But also this is a very purple forward piece, so I thought it matched well. So we got our typewriter, in there. I'm stitching this on a 32 count fiber on a whim. I don't remember what it's called. I never remember this one. It's just basic. It's like blue gray or something, or like, I don't know. But yeah, looking good. And I'm already a third done with this piece. I forgot how quickly and how nice these were last year. They just seem to come together so quickly. It just feels like you're flying by. You're having so much fun. So goal for this is to be fully finished by end of October. And I think we're hopefully on track for that. And that is all the starts, all the finishes, all the starts. And I have only one WIP to show you, but I think this is gonna be an exciting one, so brace yourselves. I have toiled over this piece. I kind of have, we'll do a little bit of a combo of plans here, but I was looking at my WIPs and, you know, looking at how the year has been going for me and the type of stitching that's been going on. And I sort of determined that, you know, more focused stitching has been working better for me, not bouncing around projects so much. And that I sort of identified, I kind of have like 3 pieces in particular that are starting to feel stale in a way, and like in the sense that I want them fully done at this point. Like I've put so much time into them, but on the other hand, I kind of don't want to stitch on them anymore. Like they're from 2022 and 2023 respectively. And so it's just kind of like, I'm ready for them to be fully off my plate. They just sort of feel like they're lurking in the corner and haven't been completed, and now they're just starting to haunt me. So interestingly enough, these 3 pieces kind of fall into sort of seasonal categories. So the first one, which you have been kind of seeing out this year to some extent, thanks to my friend R.E.P.O and everybody calling it, is Tea Glasses by 8 Pixel. So I believe in a prior video mentioned that Hillary of Subpar Stitches had sort of jokingly challenged me and been like, I bet if you focus, you could finish that by the end of the summer. And I took that to heart. I kind of was trying. Things weren't really going so well. But I sort of regrouped. I came back from my vacation and was feeling really good, and had the win of finishing The Extraordinary Birds. And I was like, you know what? Like, I am gonna finish this by the end of summer. And I had joked at the time that I was like, I'm gonna count summer as the actual end of the, you know, calendar summer, like when the fall equinox hits, which this year is September, or I don't know if it's always September 22nd, but this year it's September 22nd for sure. So I kind of, you know, September 1st, like was figuring out stitches and how many it would need to be per day. And so now we're halfway through September and I have been stitching more than my required stitches per day. So I am, I think, like almost 90% done. So this is going to be a big reveal. I'm really working you up to it. So let's just put it big where we were last time, because I think everyone's going to be shocked, and I hope everyone's excited because everyone kept picking it on R.E.P.O. So here's where it was, and now here it is. So it is looking like something. It is looking like something. We have really filled in the bottom. I think now, as of today, up to, oh, I got a hair. I think up to this row is 100% filled on the bottom. It's completely full. Hopefully, let me not misspeak. But here we go. And yeah, we have so much more of this glass happening. And what has been really nice is once I really committed to kind of starting to fill out this bottom section, and like taking the outline of this glass down, is for several days, I would simply pick a color and color complete, and, you know, pick something that would had, you know, 200 something stitches, because there's so many colors in this, that there's, like, even though there was so many thousands of stitches left, there were a ton of colors that had, you know, 250 something colors a day. And so I've been aiming for 300 stitches a day. And I've been exceeding that a little bit. And I only needed 260 a day. So even having the goal of 300 was already like overachieving. And then I've been overachieving 300 stitches. So I have really stayed focused in this, and only, I would say maybe today, I'm starting to have the first glimpse of like, I'm kind of tired of stitching on this every day, but I'm so close. I'm so close. I think if I kind of go hard tomorrow as well, I think today I did like 500 stitches. If I go hard tomorrow as well, I believe I'll be under 1,000 stitches. So I actually think I'm going to beat the 22nd. I think we're gonna get there, but we are now officially in the place where a lot of stuff kind of is in, you know, the edge of branches here in places I don't really feel 100% comfortable counting out to, even on Ada. So I can't really just straight pick a color and fully finish it anymore. So it's officially gonna get a little finicky from here on out. But my goal with that was like, let's just hit the block colors so we feel motivated enough to finish. And I definitely think that was the right strategy for me. But I'm very pleased that this has come so far. And I'm very pleased for where that it's gonna be done. I can't believe it. So then next, so I guess this is all the whips. I do have one more crochet or one more cross stitch to show you in haul. But so just hang with me for my plan. So this was kind of like the summer piece that I really wanted done. And then next up is the, here, I'll just grab them real quick. You don't mind. So for the fall, my next target piece, once I finish that one, and I'm not gonna like wait for fall. If I finish that before the 22nd, we're just immediately transitioning to this, because this is another one. It is funny that like these remaining two happen to be like some of the only paper pattern pieces I have remaining. My little hocus pocus piece here, my life potion, all we're doing is the words. There's a bit, if you've been around, I'm sure you'll hear the saga again, but there's a giant candle on this side that I have chosen to eliminate. I'm freeing myself of that. And so we're gonna just do the text. So it's all text, and it is gonna take time. I cannot undervalue that there's still a fair number of stitches to be done, but there's no reason I can't lock in and get that done this year. And then the last one, which is so cute, and so I really do want it done, but boy howdy has it been just a pain, is I really want Frosty Winter Mouse in a House done by Just Nan. I made incredible progress on this that I didn't anticipate early in the year, thanks to a really big WIP-Go call from Michaela. But there's still a lot more to go. There's still a lot more to go. This one I did end up recharting, and it is in Pattern Keeper, so I do have a little bit of a better sense of like what is involved, which I think will be good when I get there. But so that one's kind of more my like winter theme piece. So those are probably my two like last big end of the year goals. The goals this year, the stitching is just overall looked very different this year. And we're just rolling with it. So that is what is feeling good now. So that's kind of the plans. And then additionally, anywhere where I can kind of catch up on like WIP-Go calls from friends, I'm going to try to. So with tea glasses, I am fully caught up. The other piece that is like abysmally behind in calls is Moths in the Moon. So I'm not really sure how I want to approach it, but I am going to try. And I think I will feel a little more called to it in the fall. Not necessarily that it's like a fall piece more than any other piece, but I think I will feel more called to it. Oh my goodness. And in September, I will say, my calls were from Jennifer the Frog Stitcher on Instagram, and her call was for Izzy Decayan. And she kind of cheated and was like, I want you to finish it, because we started that together last year with a group of friends, her and I, and then Keisha and Laura from the Pattern Queens here on Flosstube. And we were supposed to start another one, but we may push that back a little bit because Jennifer's the only one that's done. So she was like, you need to finish Izzy. So we'll shoot for that. We'll see how it goes. And then Elizabeth of Elizabeth Savory is also got called, and I sent her stuff, but I think she's at Pinwist this weekend, so I'll touch base with her later, but I do not know what the call is, but I haven't really been keeping up with my calls, so I'm not gonna bother her about it when I'm not really keeping up my end of the bargain here. But that is all great. So in terms of that, yeah, it's like basically all stitching on Moss and the Moon, and then I need to stitch a little bit on my full coverage piece of my cat, the printed one. and armchair ornithologist also got called, which I would be happy to work on as well. So that's kind of where that is at. And then I have 2 buckets of haul, not a lot of haul, but and this first one you want to see. So Stephanie of Cross Stitch the Globe, if you caught her most recent video where she was describing her moon wall, I got caught out slightly because she was like, oh, Tara showed this on her video. I've had this for months and I have not shown it on a video. And every time as soon as I finish filming, I'm like, dang it, I can't believe I forgot again. And it's mostly just because as soon as this came to me, it immediately is like the centerpiece on our mantle. Like it's like it's always been here, and like anyway, so I just don't even really think of it as like new and exciting because it's one of those things that it just feels so right that it is mine. And what it is it is a Lindy Stitches model. She occasionally sells her models. I didn't realize until watching Stephanie's video that the reason that this particular model went on sale is because the pattern is now out of print, which was a surprise to me because it's not that old, but I think it's something to do with like the licensing and the artist and stuff. I don't know. All I know is that I saw an email from Lindy Stitches one day, and it said that there were some additional models that had gone up, and I saw a photo of this in the email, and I was like, there's no way she's selling that. And she is, and she did. And not only that, she sold it in the frame, which quite often, apparently, she does not sell them in the frame. But again, holding you for suspense here, I purchased Wizard Cat. Oh my gosh, look at him. I just can't, I'm not over it. I love him so much. I remember when this pattern came out, and obviously I was immediately drawn to it because it's a goofy little cat, and the colors are fantastic. But I think I was just turned off from the prospect of trying to stitch it because it is full coverage. It's full coverage. The box, you know, the bubble that the words are in is completely stitched in white. That's a lot of stitching, and it is so like this text means so much to me in context of this year. And he's just a little guy, and I cannot believe, I remember like I saw that he was up. I think I texted Hillary and I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, I don't know if I should do it. And I'm pretty sure as she was texting me back, I'd already just checked out because it's one of one. There is no other one. And it came in the frame. It came fully finished. So I got a nice little note from Steph that I left with it, of Lindy Stitches, and he is so loved. And, you know, really adding to my Lindy Stitches decor here. So I'm thrilled, and I'm sorry that it took me months to share this because I truly think I bought this in like July. But he's just, and I've been like people I've been talking to like one-on-one, I've been like, let me show you. So I'm very sorry that I let this lapse on Flosstube so long, but he's been here. I feel very strongly about it, and I'm very, very pleased that I made this impulse decision. And then secondly, I also, under like the slightest pressure, bought several amigurumi patterns for crochet. I don't know what came over me, and I haven't even really started on any of them because I'm doing other things, but also I need to buy some colors, I think. But this, I guess, also can tie in a little bit to the games I've been playing. So I've spoken the last several videos about the video game Peak, put it here, where you and your friends are climbing a mountain, basically. And there is a little plush in the game named Bing Bong, and he's a goofy little fellow. And Bing Bong, like the game always starts where your plane crashes, and so you're having to like gather supplies, and you got to go climb the mountain to escape. And Bing Bong is always on the plane. every time you run the game. And there's an achievement for like carrying Bing Bong and escaping with Bing Bong. And he's very cute. And in like the online, you know, community around this game, people are very obsessed with Bing Bong because he's hilarious. So I saw on Reddit that a player of the game who is also a crocheter, because those crocheters work fast, she stitched a little Bing Bong. And what I liked about this one that was different than other crocheted Bing Bongs that I had seen, because there are several, is I liked that she made him travel sized and kind of was like, and the point of the photo, you can see that there's like nature in the background, is that she took him on a hike. And I was like, that's such a sweet little idea that like, he's almost like a keychain, like kind of a little like token that you can take on your travels. He's like a little travel protector, you know? So I was chatting with my brother, who I play with, about this, and he was like, I actually kind of really love that idea. And amazingly, I feel like this so often doesn't happen, that these super incredibly talented people on Reddit post and then they never have a pattern. This person had a pattern. So that led me to Etsy. And then, you know, the Bing Bong pattern was in the cart, and then other things came into the cart. Okay, other things just came into the cart. It happens so fast. So I purchased the Bing Bong pattern. And then the characters you play as yourself, the little scouts, they kind of look like, you know, like a Boy Scout or Girl Scout. Like there's a little sash, there's badges you can get. There's a pattern for that. Let's put that in the cart. And then that got me thinking about video game character amigurumis. So then I was like, well, you know what else is adorable is the other game R.E.P.O. I've been mentioning. The little robots you play as in here are also quite adorable. There's a pattern for that. Add it to the cart. And then lastly, I have had my eyes on these patterns for a while, but since, you know, we're already in the cart, the time is now. So these last three are all from Zelda. These first two are Korok patterns. So these are a bunch of different types of Koroks, and I like that it gives you so many different like leaf mask shapes and like body shapes. That's very cool. And then I also purchased Hestu, who's like the leader Korok. He's very fun, and he's got his little fun maracas. And then lastly, I was shocked because I was on that shop looking. I knew that they had the Korok patterns. I had favorited them a long time ago, but I didn't know that she had Kikwis, which are from Zelda Skyward Sword, which I played earlier this year. And I feel like these guys, in terms of like little Zelda characters, are very slept on. They're very adorable. So I also got a Kikwi. When am I gonna do these? I don't know, okay? Don't worry about it. So that was my haul. And that pretty much, yeah, also wraps up. If I have not been like stitching, I have been continuing to game and either playing Peak. My brother and I have been really interested in trying to get all of those achievements, get all the badges on our sash. And I've been continuing to play Disney Dreamlight Valley, which I still don't know if I can fully recommend. I'm powering through the story for my sister, and I did finally get kind of to at least the first main story beat she was talking about. And, you know, I'm glad I'm doing it for her, but I'm ready to be done with that as well. Yeah. And then, oh my gosh, what's it? So past this point, that's about all the crafty updates I have for you. Now we're just going to do a little bit of a travel diary. So since we last spoke, I went on vacation to Cancun, Mexico with my partner, and we had an amazing time. I will just give you some highlights because, you know, I like to have these like for posterity as well. So if it's of interest, feel free to hang out. So we flew into Cancun and went out to our all-inclusive, my first time doing an all-inclusive. And this one was in Playa Mujeres, which is really nice because if you know anything about the Cancun beach area, a really major problem that they have is sargassum seaweed. And it just, especially with like ocean warming and the whole, let's not drift out there, but the seaweed can be really bad and it can make it almost like like not tolerable to swim because you're just swimming in seaweed. So this place was really nice because the beach, where their beach is, faces Isla Mujeres, so an island. And so because it faces the front of an island that's not very far away, it sort of shields some of the seaweed. So it was not unpleasant to swim there, which was nice. And it was dang hot. It was very, very hot. But it was kind of nice because it is not the peak season because it is so hot. And so the resort was like 60%, 50% full while we were there. So it was really nice. It felt very like kind of luxurious and exclusive in that way that like there was people around. You didn't feel like it was a ghost town, but we weren't like fighting for good shaded, you know, chairs by the pool. We didn't have trouble getting like dinner reservations anywhere. Not that I think that that's like a common problem, but you know, it was just one less thing. Like there was definitely people around, but it felt also like very roomy that we weren't like, you know, bumping and like overcrowded at all. So that was really nice. The property was fantastic. We felt very out of our tax bracket the whole time. Hopefully you're seeing some photos. I feel like I did a terrible job at taking photos because it was so hot. That I just didn't like, I just wanted to get from point A to point B and like lay down. And I will say, like, in terms of swimming in the pool or the ocean, really, they were quite warm. So I feel like it was much more like get wet and then get in the shade and let the breeze kind of cool you because the water itself was not cool enough to really do that. But so we were there for 5 nights. We did get like some spa services done in exchange for like listening to their, you know, pitch for like the membership that they sell or whatever, which was totally worth it because we got a lot of like, we got a massage and like their hydrotherapy and it was amazing. But the other big thing we did is I did plan one excursion out, much to my partner's chagrin, but I was like, we're gonna be by Chichen Itza, and like by Chichen Itza, it's a little bit of a stretch. I knew it was kind of far away, but I also was like, well, it's the closest I've ever been, and who knows if we're coming back. So we gotta do it. We gotta make it happen. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. How are you not gonna go when you're like a couple hours away? So I booked a trip, but the theme of our trip was like, no stress, no logistics, like just we're getting there and we're being taken care of, right? That was the goal. And I feel that I met that goal still. So the tour that I booked picked us up from the hotel. We didn't even have to like get a taxi to the meeting point. Picked us up from the hotel, took us to the tour bus. Tour bus took us out. And so on our way out, we stopped at a cenote first, which I think was my favorite thing that we did the entire trip. But this place, you know, it's kind of a whole little touristy experience. So they had, you know, like a little gift shop. They have you do like a Mayan ritual. Then they have like a little tequila tasting and we had lunch there. And so you kind of had like a, you know, it's like you sort of had like 2 hours to kind of do what you wanted to do. And that included getting into the cenote. So I went down in there. It was Chichican, I believe, Chichican cenote. It was amazing. I loved it so much because the water is like, you know, it's like groundwater water that is, you know, cool and refreshing. And honestly, it reminds me a lot of, you know, growing up in Austin, Texas in the hill country. We also have a lot of like spring fed water, and my mom is like, when we were kids, we were very lucky. My mom was like a watering hole like freak. She was taking us to all these places that now as an adult are like so busy and overrun in the area. But we went when it was not as well known as kids. And one of those places is Hamilton Pool, which I'll put up here. And my mom and I were looking it up afterwards because I was like, it kind of reminds me of Hamilton Pool, swimming in that cenote, and it is classified as a cenote. It doesn't really look like, because traditionally you think of them being sort of like straight columns down, like they look like sinkholes, and Hamilton Pool's not really like that. It's kind of open on one side. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of like reminded me of the types of places I used to swim as a kid. And so I just had a really great time, and I don't know, I loved it. I loved it so much. I unfortunately didn't get any good pictures like down in the bottom of it because I just like, there was a whole step with like lockers and then the life vest, and you had to walk down all these stairs, and I didn't take my phone because I didn't have like a waterproof, you know, situation for it, and I didn't really know what the situation was down there. So unfortunately I don't really have any photos of us down there. We tried to take some from the top, which hopefully you're seeing. But yeah, so after that, you know, we got changed, got back on the bus, stopped at a little town square in Valladolid, I believe. Put it here. Which is this just very cute little town center. Stopped there for like 45 minutes. I got a coffee, a little iced coffee, pick me up because it had already been a number of hours. It's like past lunch, and we left it, you know, like 8 in the morning. And then we kept driving a little bit farther, and we made it to Chichen Itza. You go through like a time zone change as well. So part of the reason this trip works in a single day is like because of the time change. So we got there, we did our tour. It was like blazing hot, but we did it. We saw it. It was amazing. It was very fun because I think I didn't realize how much of the DreamWorks movie El Dorado was based on that, on the Mayan culture, which is like probably silly in hindsight, but it's a kid's movie. I just didn't think about it that much, and I was like, wow, it really looked like this. And like the great ball game, like the ball court that's there, like that's very much, you know, ripped into that movie. So I was sending my siblings lots of pictures. So extremely cool to see, just like the unbelievable like breadth of knowledge and skill that they had, like just the number of stone pieces that were like jaguar heads that were hanging out unsupported from the rock that are still there was blowing my mind. It was amazing to see. So we had a little bit of time, you know, we had like a 45-minute tour, and then we got to like walk around for about like an hour or so, which, you know, you could certainly spend more time walking the grounds. They're quite extensive. So we tried to walk around, see as much as we could. You know, it is a brief trip for sure, but I'm really happy we made the effort. And then, yeah, it was a 3-hour ride back. And of course, then, you know, the time gets later as you come back. So it was like a 13-hour day, this little outing, but it was worth it. And my partner didn't hate me for it. He thought it was worth it as well, but we were quite tired. And so yeah, we pretty much grabbed food and went to bed immediately. So yeah, that was really special, and we had a really great time. And honestly, kind of hope to go back because I feel like there was still so much like activities, and like they had a club there that we didn't really like go to because we just had a very like relaxation minded thing. So we were going to bed at very grandma hours. But we had a fantastic time, and I hope we go back in the future. But that was really good, and just overall good to, you know, be reminded of how important like taking time to, you know, it's two different things, I feel, to like travel to see something and like, or see a new place versus like you're just going to relax. And that's definitely what this trip was, and I think there's a lot of value in those trips, especially in the year that we've had. So loved it. Hope there were some interesting photos for you there. And yeah, with that is all I have. I most likely will be back in a month at the latest, maybe sooner. I really appreciate for those of you who continue to leave really nice comments that you're just really happy whenever I'm able to post, and and just hanging in there with me, because it has certainly, not to use this word because I think we're all sick of this word, but what an unprecedented year in so many ways. But we carry on, and we are certainly thankful for our stitching and our stitching community and all of those lovely things. I did put in for weekend A of StitchCon next year, and I also bought tickets for Stitch North the second weekend. So it'll be another, I'm gonna force the stitching back into me one way or the other. So I am starting to think about how I might want to approach next year, especially that I have sort of like really kept the whips stable / come down. I think this year's wrap up is going to be very interesting. I will not be, now I'm just rambling, but I will not be in Austin for the length of time that I have been in the past because I don't work remotely anymore. So I think that will probably beget more stitching in December than I normally do, because pretty much once I'm in Austin, I tend to not really get that much done. So yeah, I think it will be an interesting wrap up and interesting thoughts for next year, because I still have, like, as much as I have said, I think for the past 2 years that like I want to stitch what I already own, I haven't really like been starting things. So I still have so many beautiful kits with me that I want to start. So maybe something like a kit. I don't know if I would fully do a kit parade, but or we could do a kit parade. I don't know. Let me know. I will stop talking. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope you got some stitching done, and I hope you're taking care and taking some rest where you're able. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.